Hey, this is Matt once again. What about in the video? This is another paid request, this time for Gia. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under pretty much any of these videos. Now, he wanted me to talk about, can't react to because I've already seen this, but talk about a death battle that was made many, many years ago, Terminator versus RoboCop. Now, these two characters have fought over the years in comic books. There's been video games. I remember playing the Super Nintendo game quite a few times when I was a kid, and enjoying it actually. But yeah, this death battle I saw many years ago. And pretty much the good first chunk of the video is talking about what weapons they have, what attributes they have. Terminator has a plasma rifle and shotguns. RoboCop has the Auto 9, the weapon arm, the Cobra Assault cannon, jetpacks. Again, this was done maybe 8 years ago, this video. Now, of course, I think, spoiler alert, RoboCop wins. And I'm fine with that result. I really am. Because I mean, hell, look at some of the Terminator movies. If some of those people can beat a Terminator, then RoboCop can beat a Terminator, despite how slow he is. I mean, if those people in fucking Terminator Dark Fate and Terminator Genesis can beat it, more advanced copies as well, then yeah, I believe RoboCop can beat this Terminator. I will say the kind of ironic thing is that it's some of the crappier versions of RoboCop is how it won, like RoboCop 3 with the jetpack and the weapon arm, and the TV shows and the cartoon and all the stuff that was used in there. Is I'm not as familiar with the TV show and cartoon, so like they would introduce aspects like RoboCop can do that. Like RoboCop can have his feet stuck to the ground, and he has this bomb, like, grenade thing that he throws, and sticky bomb. When the hell did he have that? Oh, the TV show or the cartoon. I'm like, okay. So there's like a good chunk of that. Kind of just, and I like the usage of the Terminator and RoboCop music. And then they have their animation. Now the animation they've done is very, very rough. I mean, I know I should not be that judgmental because it's just a YouTube video, and it was, like I said, about 8 years ago, but it's very, very rough to look at. And the characters move like they were on speed or cocaine. Just move very fast, they're fighting very fast. So, I don't think, visual-wise, it holds up that well. It's like, I don't know, trying to watch. I know people don't get mad at me, like that cartoon reboot. Like you try to watch that cartoon reboot, and it was kind of interesting for its time, but if you watch it now, ooh, it's a bit rough visually. Same with this. And pretty much what happens during the fight is the Terminator arrives. Like I said, nice usage of the music from both franchises. The way they move is like they're in fast forward. I'm still surprised that the plasma rifle would not do as much damage to RoboCop. I guess because in an episode of the TV show there was plasma shooting and it bounced off him. Because I remember RoboCop, and he got shot by a lot of bullets in the first movie, and he got completely wrecked to what he was crawling. But yeah, I guess this is based on like the TV show. Take your word for it. It was nice that RoboCop got some good moments. I mean, flamethrowers, Kit's muscle. I mean, shooting a missile to the Terminator and to this tanker. throwing the sticky bomb grenade, shooting it. Just they're fighting on the ground, and then RoboCop uses a jetpack, and they get to a roof, and then RoboCop gets hit bad. Then he puts his weapon arm from RoboCop 3, and uses a flamethrower on it. And pretty much they've mentioned one of the reasons RoboCop wins is that he has a more destructive arsenal, and he can think more creatively. Which is weird because in the verbiage they used earlier, they said that the Terminator, oh, it could do more than any human can possibly do. I'm like, okay, well, Alex Murphy is kind of human, the human brain, but apparently not. I do like the line that said, you have the right to remain silent. I suggest you exercise it. I thought that was a good line. I mean, they do mention the RoboCop is pretty slow, but I think that would be even more of a detriment in the natural fight between the two, with how slow he is, because he moves like a tank. I think Terminator in his human skin would have a bit more mobility, and I think that would give a lot of advantage. That's why I still think a lot of people, including RoboCop, would be the underdog in a fight against a Terminator. But I just see why the Terminator would have a more powerful arsenal just because of, again, all the other attributes of TV shows and things of that nature, where they have to create all this other extra stuff to either sell toys or get people not bored with a TV show. So, yeah, give them new weapons, new armor, new this, new that. To me, anytime you have a versus fight, the one who wins is the one who bribed the writer the most, or the one the writer has the most affinity for. Because you could create any type of scenario where any person wins. I mean, the Punisher kills the Marvel Universe. Oh, you make that the Punisher does this and that, and even though it creates a lot of questions, well, what about this? What about that? Idea is all any versus movie, TV show, comic book scenario. Anybody can win in any way. Again, you just have to write it a certain way. There's no way Batman should beat Superman. Well, you write that Batman's smart and he came prepared. He's got kryptonite and blah blah blah. There you go. There's always a way to write into it. There's always a way to, hey writer, how much money? I'll give you this much money. You let this guy win. Okay. I'm actually surprised RoboCop didn't get messed up as much during the fight. I mean, he got messed up a little bit by like physically broken up because, like, there are times where RoboCop, like in RoboCop 2, there's that, what do you call it, that saw thing, not saw, but remember Kane RoboCop 2 scratch RoboCop's helmet like this? So, and also they mention, it's like the line in RoboCop 2, just shoot him, shoot him in the mouth. Was it 2 or 3 where they said that? Just shoot him in the mouth. Yeah, just shoot him in the mouth. And they never really did answer that question. Why don't, like, the Terminator, would he be able to shoot RoboCop in the mouth? And right here, would that end everything? And granted, people, it'd be hard for them to aim that way, but for Terminator, probably could aim that way. I see a lot of arguments for the Terminator to win. I mean, I'm fine with RoboCop winning because in most instances, RoboCop's the good guy, Terminator's the bad guy, and again, if Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn can win and blowing up the Terminator, RoboCop can find a way to win. If RoboCop can defeat Kane, I mean, you think Kane is kind of a Terminator type? At least one of the more, like, those bigger HT, not HT, but those bigger type of Terminators. If RoboCop could defeat Kane, I mean, he took some punishment from him that maybe he could defeat a Terminator. So you look at Kane in RoboCop 2, it's like, hey, RoboCop took on him. He didn't took on Terminator. But I mean, the idea of death battles are fun. Look at their attributes. But like I said, the whole winner thing to me is, it doesn't matter what attributes they say. There's always stuff you either accidentally ignore, purposefully ignore, or all sorts of circumstances that happen to fight where, like I said, anybody can win in any of these death battles if you're being honest. Anybody could win. Whether it be... It depends on who you're more of a fan of, who you're more of a affiliation to, who the writer is of the death battle, the story, the comic, anything in between. So it really becomes all pointless. It doesn't matter, but you know, it's still a fun video to watch. Like, who wins, the writer, and how much you pay him. And it's funny, like, they bring up the pipe bomb in Terminator 1. Like, he got destroyed by that. That's how he knew they could win. Even though the pipe bomb was in the Terminator, so that makes a bit of a difference. Other than it was outside. Again, like, Kane was able to get into RoboCop's helmet and saw a bit into it. Again, I say saw a bit, it's more of a blowtorch type of thing. Like, they don't mention that part in RoboCop 2. Of course, to be honest, they don't mention a lot about RoboCop 2. They just show the scene, which is a kind of a fun scene where, well, the bad guy has the baby, and RoboCop is being calm. Go take her. No. I'll kill her. I'll kill this fucking kid. We can't have that. It bounces the ball off, hits the motherfucker in the head. I like RoboCop 2. Despite its flaws, I still like RoboCop 2. It's not as good as the first one. They should have had the musical score for the first movie. But I think there's a lot of good aspects to RoboCop 2. I still don't understand why he went from Alex Murphy back to RoboCop. And they kind of lessened the Alex Murphy part. Because that was the whole point of RoboCop 1. Like I said, RoboCop 2 has its flaws, but I still think it's a fun popcorn sequel. So as for the fight itself, it was fun enough to see the back and forth. I don't like the fact that they later than fast forward. That kind of took me out of it. It's like fucking chipmunk speed. The animation is not that good, and nowadays it's very rough to look at. Listen, I don't want to be too harsh. It's not like there's a big company that is just, you know, people and fans doing it. And yeah, I'm fine with the outcome. I like RoboCop. Yeah, I like playing them in the video game for Super Nintendo, shooting the shit out of Terminators. I think that would have been a cool movie. I mean, it could be a cool animated movie in today's stage. I mean, Peter Weller could voice it. Arnold could voice it. They would never do it. Although, if Peter Weller is able to voice a fucking KFC commercial that had RoboCop, maybe he would, if the money was right. You don't have to be in the suit. You just... your voice. But I think that could work as an animated movie. But I guess, you know, it's two different companies. I mean, if they're able to get it for whatever rights they're able to come together for a comic book or for a video game, maybe they're able to do it. Maybe movies are a different matter. But again, maybe animated movie. Maybe animated movie, do you deal with the rights the same way as a comic book in a video game? As long as it's not live action. I don't know the whole details of it. I really don't. But I would still like to see... Like, if you don't do a Terminator movie, do a RoboCop vs. Terminator and get Peter Weller and Arnold to voice the characters. So this is for fun. Be a badass film. Be a Terminator film actually worth a shit. And a RoboCop film worth a shit, because they haven't had films worth a shit in a long fucking time. For a few decades. Like I said, I like the usage of the music from RoboCop and Terminator franchises. Like I said, I know I repeat myself. I do like the line, "You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you exercise it." I thought that was pretty badass. And of course, then you could play as the two of them in later on Mortal Kombat. Was it Mortal Kombat 11? Or I can't remember the number. I haven't followed Mortal Kombat in a long time, but I know there's a Mortal Kombat game that came out many, many, many years later where you play as a Terminator and a RoboCop. So, which is pretty cool. Was that the Mortal Kombat one with Rambo in it, or was that another one? Because he mentioned it was, but because yeah, you could play as Rambo versus Terminator, but Arnold did not do his voice for Terminator, which was kind of disappointing. Just Stallone did his voice for Rambo, so you think, hey, maybe Arnold could do his voice for Terminator, but that didn't happen, so that sucks. I would say Rambo being Mortal Kombat is like the best thing that happened to Rambo since like Rambo 4. I know we're going off tangent, but see, that's something that was better than the whole, entire fucking Rambo 5 movie. I was still waiting for someone to take like the Rambo 5, I mean, Mortal Kombat Rambo and like make a movie out of it, but I don't know how you would be able to do it. Maybe some type of editing, and I don't know. Anyway, like I said, going way off tangent. But yeah, the battle was fun to watch, as it is. I'm glad RoboCop won. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Do they? Again, this is how illiterate I am of death battles. Do they do it where like one wins and then they do a second where the other wins? So if you're a Terminator fan, you can watch this. If you're a RoboCop fan, you can watch that. Probably take a lot more work because you have to make different endings, and maybe I'm thinking of a different one, like the live action, because they had like Batman versus Darth Vader, and you had the ending where Batman wins. You had one that Darth Vader wins, but that was done live action. But that, I mean, that comes to show you Batman versus Darth Vader. People like, there's no way Batman should win, and then oh, Batman had a plan. It was Superman. That's when Batman wins, but then Darth Vader just crushes the thing, kills Batman's. Like I said, it just depends on the writer. Depends on how you write the shit. Like everything. Who's the writer? How much can I pay you to go in this direction? But overall, it was still a fun video to revisit. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.